Hey everybody, welcome to episode 76 of the Geek Bytes podcast. I'm Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgar, Acosta.
And every single podcast we bring you the roundup of the week's best geek and tech news. And then of course we discuss that news and anything else that we're interested in that week.
In Geek News this week, we'll talk about some Apple rumors, Superwoman, the Supergirl / Flash musical, the Crow remake, the new Rogue One trailer, and much, much more.
And in our discussion section, we're going to be talking about our interview with Stephan Morse, the author of the Continue Online series. He was one of the 2 interviews we did this week for our Lit RPG review author section thing that we have going on. But we're going to be playing Stephan's review because he was first. But you can also watch them both at geekbytespodcast.com. We are going to begin, our show, with Geek News. And of course, we'll begin our Geek News section with our very first story, Apple. Apple rumors. Who doesn't love them? Some Apple rumors. Our first story is talking about Apple and the many things that are rumored to be going on. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman sources say that the next iPhone will feature a pressure-sensitive home button with haptic feedback to replace the current physical button. So if you're an Apple fanboy or girl, you may like the fact that there's not going to be an actual physical home button anymore, but a place to just kind of touch. Additionally, there also is not going to be any more headphone jacks on the thing, so you might want to purchase a nice Bluetooth earphone. The larger iPhone will also come with a dual camera system. There are also going to be 2 new versions of the Apple Watch by the end of the year. One model will have a minor update, so it's the same like Apple Watch 1.2 or the Apple Watch S, if you want to call it that. There are also going to be a new Apple Watch, the Apple Watch 2. It's going to have GPS, a barometer, a high-capacity battery. So look for that one if you're interested in that one. Additionally, there's also going to be a new MacBook Pro model coming out in the 4th quarter of this year. It is rumored to have a USB-C port, a simple OLED touch-sensitive key, and Touch ID power button. So if you love the MacBook Pro, this is definitely your year. So man, what do you think of any interested in Apple at all?
So there was talks on this. There was some Apple loyalists kind of made a little stink on it. Mm-hmm. They're like the biggest thing was the headphone jack issue. Is like, why are you making us conform to having to buy another Apple related product for an Apple device that they already love, but they don't feel like they have to? And it's like it's obviously it's going to be revenue for them, but I think the Apple will eventually come with their like the Beats head style. I think don't they own Beats? Yeah, so they're gonna have their own like Beats earbuds kind of thing happening to it, Bluetooth headset. It's just a matter of when for that to they'll probably have a package deal. They're probably gonna have a package deal for it, hopefully, or at least if you buy the new iPhone, you'll get the Beats for like half off or something like that, or they'll give you a gift card or something. But that's the only other big thing that I've been having a little issue that I've heard from through the grapevine on it. Now for actually no physical buttons, I don't know.
It feels a lot like the Android device at that point where they took out those buttons quite a long time ago. We both become Android phone users, so this is less exciting for us. Yeah. But we do have Patreon subscribers who love Apple, and so this news is really for them and their family members who would probably stab us if we didn't tell them about these things.
Yeah, they're going to like it, though. But I honestly, at least the people that I personally have, like anybody that has any kind of phone, even an Android, they don't really max out the abilities of the phone. They're just a basic phone call, text, maybe a app game or something fun on it, but that's as far as it goes. Nobody really uses the full potential of their phones.
Yeah, they definitely have different philosophies. Apple's very much, this is our ecosystem. You use it our way or the highway. They don't want you to modify it. They say it voids their warranty, although legally they cannot stop you from using in that manner anymore. The Supreme Court said so. But Android is always a little bit more open about their stuff. Let you mod it, do whatever you want. Just you're aware that you're probably going to break it while you try.
That's true. It's like when people kind of modify any of their devices. As soon as you take off that little sticker or take out that screw, void of warranty. So at your own risk.
At your own risk. And of course, our next story is a little more exciting for me, the PS4 news.
Yeah, PS4.5. Sony set out invitations for September 7th event at the 3 p.m. Eastern called PlayStation Meeting, promising to share details about the PlayStation business. It is expected that Sony will unveil the PlayStation 4 Neo, a mid-cycle refresh of the console with improved hardware and performance.
Yeah, it's exciting for me. I'm a big PlayStation fan right now. I've been playing No Man's Sky recently, and it's stellar. It's beautiful on that machine. If I had known there was gonna like a 0.5 version coming out, I probably wouldn't have bought it quite as soon. But hey, I'm happy with it now. But if you're thinking about buying a PlayStation 4 right now, you might want to wait a month or so, since they're coming out with something a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm debating. I'm probably as much as I want to have a PS4 for the sake of some of the games I have. Like once again, I have so much digital dust and literal physical dust of the games that I just have, just because obviously working 2 jobs and having a little girl kind of cutting into my game time. So very few times that I do have a chance to play a game, I will. The only thing that I've been recently playing myself was looks like Capcom had a sale for on Xbox, so I downloaded the DuckTales remastered game for the arcade. Nice, it's cute. It gives me a fun time to reminisce back in the days. I miss the little 8-bit graphics on it. It's a game that I never played, but it's fun to hear. Especially it got voiced by the original cast, so you hear everybody from, of course, Scrooge McDuck, Launchpad McQuack, to even all the Beagle Boys. It's really fun to reminisce.
Yeah, and Xbox just came out with the Xbox One S, so they're all playing the same game at this point, giving you a little bit of taste of something better. Until they come up with something entirely new that's going to avoid all your old games. But in the meantime, we're looking forward to seeing if PlayStation actually does this in September on the 7th. Our next story is going to go into the game we were just talking about, No Man's Sky. They have their video game finally came out this month, this week. And after months of delay, it's getting really stellar reviews. I'm a huge fan of it personally. I've been playing it for hours and hours and hours, and I'm way too late in the night, to be honest. But it's one of those games where you can just explore the 15 quintillion planets. You can kill a bunch of robots. You can fight pirates. You can be peaceful. You can be someone who trades resources to make money and buy better ships, or discover upgrades. It's really explorer centric, less combat centric. But if you want to, you can kill some stuff too. But I've been enjoying it. And I definitely, if we're going to give it a review, I give it at least 8.5 out of 10, definitely.
Nice.
So it's nice. And they're not done with it. I mean, they're going to do updates, and it's just that huge of a game. People are literally streaming it 24 hours a day, just playing it all the time. It's fun for me.
It looked really good. I've been seeing and hearing a lot of things through Facebook on it. I'm like, it catches my interest. I saw the like right now watching the trailer, little commercials for it and whatnot. So it was cool. It was like, all right, I get it. It especially when you start talking about exploring like almost an infinite amount of planets and a whole variety on it. It reminded me. You ever heard of a game called Spore?
Yes, it's a very similar. It has a very similar art style to it in that everything is randomly generated on all these 15 quintillion planets. Every single planet I've ever come across so far has been undiscovered, which means nobody else has been there except for me as a player character. There are AI characters like aliens and alien animals and creatures.
Can you claim it? Like you plant a flag? This is Planet Ramon?
I can claim that I discovered it, which means that I get money for that discovery.
Oh, cool.
And every new creature planet document, I also get money in game for that as well, that I can spend on whatever resources that I'm not mining at the moment.
Okay.
But so far I haven't run into anyone else. But it's a big universe, 15 quintillion strong, and so that's why it kind of has that same vibe to it.
Yeah, because I love the concept of Spore, the whole just randomly, genetically modifying creatures that you can add wings, claws, fins, whatever. Just pretty much Darwin's big clusterfuck of DNA, just of weird creatures coming out. But with this, I wish they could do like a combination of both, especially because since you have obviously quintillion planets and different amount of species, literally create your own world the way you want it to be.
It might be an update they do in the future. So far, you can build ships, you can trade them up, you can customize them in your weapons and your explorer tools. Maybe in the future, just like with Fallout 4, they'll allow more custom player housing. Maybe modify your own creatures, genetic modification. You never know. Yeah. But it's a fun game, to me at least.
All right, let's talk some comic book news. Superman dies, Superwoman born. Recently, the new 52 Superman died, and as he was dying, Lois Lane was bombarded with Kryptonian energy. Turns out this gave her Superman's powers. Here's the twist: Lois isn't the only Superwoman. Sharp-eyed DC fans noticed that both Lana Lang and Lois were zapped by the energies of the dying New 52 Superman. And while Lois received the bulk of Superman's powers, Lana essentially gained Electro Superman's powers. She's the other Superwoman.
Yeah, I like how they gave her the old crappy Superman powers of Electro. Or have you seen that Superman version?
It was that red and blue version, but yeah, I remember the white suit. It kind of looked like a funky Flash kind of.
He looked like Electricity Man, where he could, move at the speed of light. Bullets would pass through him and not off of him anymore. It was this weird, it feels like the awkward phase of Superman to me. But hey, Lana, it seems like if you've been hooking up with Clark, you get some superpowers when he dies. So.
Yeah, I never heard the new 52 stuff about that. I didn't watch it, but I've heard of it. Did you watch Superman Returns, the Bryan Singer piece of crap?
Yeah, I've seen all the Superman movies.
Or like supposedly he had a child.
Yeah, who was a half Kryptonian.
Yeah, so you think it passed down that kind of way or whatnot, but
maybe he has a super sperm.
Hey, blast like a shotgun right through her back.
Not the first time that's been done, of course. There's that Will Smith movie who kind of had a very similar premise.
Hancock?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, but we'll see. It's kind of interesting that they would go, the other woman being there too, getting some kind of powers and all that. But I don't know. How long do you give before they actually bring back Superman? Because, I know the whole concept of the New 52 was a reboot.
Well, they already have a Superman in the same comic universe. They killed off the New 52 Superman and brought in, I think, parallel original universe Superman, who's all in black. Mm-hmm. So it's a weird, comic book thing. That's how they do what they want. It's their story, it's their universe, and they make it make sense. Mm-hmm. The artwork for the Who's Superwoman cover looks amazing. Love the art style on it. Lois Lane looks wonderful, and so does all the artwork in the storyline. So I encourage you, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Go pick it up, I should say. But on to our next story. It's going to be Kevin Smith, one of our favorite podcasters and, producers of good things. Kevin Smith tweeted that he'd be directing an episode of Supergirl, which is now on the CW sometime this season, and he's excited about it. And I'm excited about it. I always like to hear, people were fans of doing things that we're fans of. He did The Flash originally. And he directed that one episode of The Flash last year. He's scheduled to direct 3 episodes of The Flash this year. And hopefully that'll lead to a lot more television stuff, including, if I recall, they're doing Mallrats 2 as a television show now. So it looks like Kevin Smith is finally doing television.
Hey, it's worked out for him. No knock on his movies, because I love his movies. I love all the stuff. Not everybody might be a fan, call it a cult following or whatever. But hell, if you're loyal to somebody like a band or whatnot, you're gonna see him through all the way, even if the good stuff or the bad stuff. I'm glad to see. It's obviously television might be his calling, and nothing against it. He's doing what he loves. He literally has shed tears over the things he loves so much, being comics, family, dogs, all that kind of stuff. I can't wait to see what they'll bring out, though, because my biggest thing with like how he talked about, he's like, yes, in his world, in his version of movies, all the things they would be doing would just be talking. They would just be talking fart jokes, Star Wars jokes, dick jokes, that kind of thing. But especially dealing in the comic book universe, I'm not sure how much leeway they're going to give him with certain characters, because in the Flash, he talked about Flash discovering some new abilities, some powers, like the Force Punch, or not the Force Punch,
they've already done the lightning punch. They've done the lightning throw. They've done the whirlwind thing with the Flash, where he sends tornadoes out with his hands. Mm-hmm. I think they touched on the phasing through matter, so maybe he'll writing something new. He's the fastest man alive. Maybe he can give the best, quickest sperm samples. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. Well, at least for the Supergirl. Ooh, I could only imagine. But did you catch the poster? It was kind of a joke for a lot of times with the Superman.
Yeah, it's the fake poster. It says, Superman is coming
in Superwoman.
Yeah, so it's
Supergirl.
It was fake, obviously, but it does kind of show that even the hint of Superman in the Supergirl show, he overshadows her without meaning to, which is why I think in the first season they resisted so heavily in putting him in. But now they're on the CW, they want to throw as many characters. There's going to be crossovers with, of course, Arrow and the Legends of Tomorrow. Everybody's going to be doing a mixed bag of stuff.
I just want to see, of course, his little, hopefully, askew universe Easter eggs, if you will, and not just having Jason Mewes there. Don't get me wrong.
Jason's going to be there without a doubt.
Jason Mewes, love the man too, but nothing against him. But it'd just be funny just to see, I really doubt it's gonna ever happen. But Batfleck, especially since it's even more connected. The whole
they said that the TV stuff and the movie stuff is not going to be in the same thing, but. Maybe Kevin can swing some favors with Batfleck. I mean, maybe just regular Ben Affleck will come in for a cameo, just a quick walk by in the background, and somebody will spot him, and they'll unofficially connect everything. And I think that would be pretty cool.
If anything, they'll probably have a TV Batman the way they have, of course, a TV Superman.
What if he was Batman 66, but it was still Ben Affleck under there on the television?
66?
Yeah. He's not, instead of wearing his current Batman costume, he wears the Batman 66 costume, which means that the universes weren't technically connected, but they would still be kind of sort of connected.
Well, especially for being DC, what I'd like to see is Dick Grayson, man. Nightwing, oh man, that would be awesome.
That would be interesting, and he's not in the Batman movie, so he could technically show up, but they're doing some other people, so why not?
Exactly.
But on to some more Supergirl news.
Interesting. Supergirl Flash musical crossover episode. I guess they've done it in Buffy. They've done it in everything else, and musicals are as popular as they are. The CW superhero shows The Flash and Supergirl have finally confirmed that the two characters will appear in a musical crossover episode in the back half of the next season. It makes sense considering stars Grant Gustin and Melissa Benoist both appeared in the high school singing dramedy Glee, and both are talented singers. Also, it's rumored Joss Whedon may direct the episode. There you go. It says it right there. They've done it before in Buffy. Obviously, Glee alumni, if you will, for these two. It's just a matter of I honestly, if they wanted to work something in, I would see a karaoke scene kind of deal. Them late night karaoke bar.
I think they did a karaoke scene once when they were on a date. Like the Flash and Felicity from Green Arrow were karaokeing with some other couple. So they've done that before, but I knew they were going to make him sing at some point because he just says. That's what he's kind of known for originally. It wasn't, his action moves. It was, his ability to sing.
Yeah. I'm not expecting crazy power ballads out of these two, but, hey, if they got it, hey, you know what would be kind of make more sense, especially them wearing the girl wearing a Superman logo T-shirt, him wearing a Flash logo T-shirt. Put them in Pitch Perfect 3. Why not? And there'll be a little inside cameo like, hey, it's Flash and Supergirl singing, on Pitch Perfect 3.
Hey, they're going to make as many of those movies as possible to make as much money as possible. So why not include other fandoms within that universe? Then they're all connected again. We just love connecting universes. So what can we say?
Oh yeah, totally.
Now, our next story is going to be some other fandom. It's going to be Star Trek Discovery. If you don't know what this show is, it is the latest version of Star Trek, the television series made by CBS. CBS producers announced this week, Brian Fuller specifically, that their CBS All Access series, Star Trek Discovery, he gave a bunch of details this week. And now, first of all, this is mostly going to be on their internet site. It's not going to be on their regular cable network unless... they're making a ton of money. But he dropped some details, which includes that the show will have a female lead, not a dude. The lead character will not be the captain of some ship of the Discovery. Instead, she's going to be a lieutenant commander, which is slightly farther down the food chain. The show will be set approximately 10 years before the original Star Trek, and it will be set in the original Star Trek universe, which means none of this rebooted Star Trek stuff from the movies. They're keeping that stuff separately. Mostly because they don't own the movie stuff, I believe. So that's why. And of course, there's going to be a nice, interesting artificial intelligence robot on the show, and he may or may not be gay.
A gay robot. Don't get me wrong, the whole trans thing and all that, trying to have a little bit of everything, and even it's in multi-universe.
Trying to be inclusive. Just I remember last week talked about all those ethnic inclusions makes people feel special and interested because they see themselves on the television screen. So I understand why they're doing it.
Gay robots, huh?
Gay robots, maybe. There's somebody out there who's that's their thing.
Yeah, But one thing about the Star Trek universe that I didn't notice for the longest time, I don't think you're a big fan of it, but I watched the Orange is the New Black. I didn't realize that one of the main characters in it was the captain from Voyager, the female one. I was like,
Yep, yep.
oh, that's why she kind of looked familiar. Glad to see her, obviously still working and doing stuff. No offense to the other captains, but especially being in the original before.
Captain Picard does a lot of interesting things.
Oh, yeah. But I was going to say about the takes place before, the was this before Next Generation or no, before the original Star Trek. I wonder if they're gonna go stick with 10 years before goofy looking set. You know how the 60s, 70s television very blocky, especially the captain's chair, the big blocky kind of thing.
Change the costumes very much because of it, but they're going to try to do more, obviously better than the original. I mean, when you think of Star Trek Enterprise, which is set like decades before the original Star Trek, they were kind of encumbered by the same ideas that they couldn't do too many amazing set pieces.
Oh yeah,
because the original show didn't look as good, and eventually they just kind of gave up trying and caring, and just made an excellent show with as many special effects as they wanted to. And I hope that this one's going to do the same.
I want to see how the tech's going to relate, because remember Uhura had that big old monster like equivalent to a Bluetooth earpiece.
Yep.
She's probably going to have headgear, or whoever's going to be their little communications person. But oh well. More ladies in comics. Captain Marvel origin story change. It's already been announced that Brie Larson will be playing Captain Marvel in the 2019 Marvel film. This week, screenwriter Nicole Perlman, the Marvel is changing Captain Marvel's origin story because it's too similar to Green Lantern's story. They don't say how they're going to change it, but it will be assumed Carol Danvers will be getting her powers from her Kree lover anymore.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's a thing. They I guess they don't want to make it too similar to the movie they kind of tanked.
What? Because of a ring piece and a finger? You don't want to relate a girl and a ring piece and a finger?
I think it's more along that they don't want aliens giving everyone powers in the universe necessarily. And so they want to try to make the origin story a little bit more original. Otherwise, they're just going to follow the same path that the Green Lantern hit. Honestly, I mean, it's a creative writing thing. I understand that they want to feel original, and I don't really care. I mean, I don't think anyone's so tied into the, Captain Marvel origin story, especially considering this is actually Miss Marvel as the origin story originally. They're going to skip a bunch of stuff anyways, so you might as well make it fun and interesting.
I think I saw a version of it in the old anime. Well, not that old, but an animated version of the Avengers that came on Disney XD. They did show her like an origin of her. I'm not too familiar with the comic book version origin, because I remember seeing the X-Men cartoon version where she's the Ms. Marvel with the black kind of like one-piece bikini with the lightning bolt going across and the mask. There's also, of course, there's this version where at least in the Avengers cartoon that I saw, where she was like hospitalized, and I think, I'm not 100% sure, so somebody can definitely correct me on this. She had to get like a blood transfusion through the Kree, kind of like the way of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if you watch that show, how, God, what's her name? Skye got a blood transfusion, and she obtained the Kree abilities, so they became like semi-inhumans, if you will. But of course, this Kree one just had a little extra power.
Yeah. This Carol Danvers story is really complicated. It spans many comic book series, so go check it out on the internet if you want a good summary before the movie comes out in 2019. And it looks like April Koch Mejia in the chat room is chiming in. More female superheroes. Yeah, this is going to be their major first push for a superhero in the Marvel universe. And of course, we have Wonder Woman coming out a lot sooner in the DC universe. If you've seen that trailer, you're probably a big fan. I know I am. I'm looking forward to catching it when it comes out.
For Marvel, of course, there's so many heroes that need to bring in. Even sadly, they always played second banana to the guys. But the ones that I like to see, to be honest, and once again, I'm not a huge DC fan, but I actually would look forward to, is the Gotham City Sirens and the Birds of Prey together. Oh, that'd be an insane movie.
Harley Quinn is getting her own movie pretty soon. Why not the rest of them?
Yeah, not necessarily not to the Ghostbusters franchise, the reboot, whatever version. Sadly, they're not going to get a sequel, at least from what I've been hearing on the news. But it can't go wrong.
It could work. I mean, Harley Quinn alone can carry an entire movie. She was kind of the gem in the entire Suicide Squad. Like nobody had anything bad to say about that character or that actress in that film at all. So, why not pair her up with some other strong female leads and, let them go with a buddy flick. But moving on to some other entertainment news, we have Aquaman. This, again, folks, this episode is full of superhero stuff, so it is what it is. The Wrap is reporting that the villain in Jason Momoa's Arthur Curry is going to be Black Manta, to the surprise of nobody. Black Manta is probably the most regular, the oldest villain for Aquaman. If you remember the comics, he's kind of the anti-Aquaman. So it's not a surprise to anybody. But I think I would have hoped there would have been a slightly more original for the villain, but they weren't. And, it's okay. I'm not surprised. I'm not disappointed.
There's once again, there's a whole arrangement in the comic books alone. They've done great stories in the animated series. DC's animation is insane. Go check them out for anything. There is Aquaman stories in there, but of course that Aquaman is the stereotypical orange top, blonde haired, blue eyed kind of guy. So don't expect Jason Momoa in any of the animated versions. But this one's cool. I love this storyline where I think it was in the Justice League, where they kidnapped his kid. Spoilers. They kidnapped his kid and they put him in a situation where he was like chained to a rock thing. He couldn't break out, but he needed to save his baby, and the only way to save his baby was cutting off his own hand. And that was showing like dedication and a little gruesome, but in a cool way, showing how much, of course, love for his own child, but that a person's willing to mutilate themselves in the storyline.
Yeah, I think they were trying to butch up Aquaman a little bit. At that point, he had this reputation of being the most useless of the Super Justice League guys. Yeah. And so they cut off his arm. They gave him a trident or a hook on his hand. Beard. Made him a lot more piratey and rough. And the beard kind of stuck, and which is why you see it in Jason Momoa.
Speaking of Jason Momoa, the Crow. Jason Momoa... He's Khal Drogo. He's Aquaman, but will also be the Crow. Mashable broke news that Momoa is in talks to take on the graphic lead role in the Crow remake based on James O'Barr graphic novel, which will be directed by Corin Hardy, director of the indie horror hit The Hollow, following an Instagram photo of the two together with hashtags Seal the Deal, Great News to Come, and Dream Job.
Absolutely. So this is kind of fun. This story is more for you than it is me. Yes. I like the Crow. He wasn't my favorite superhero, obviously, but he was interesting. And I thought, hey, this guy, do you think he can do a good job as the Crow?
Well, with me, The Crow in general wasn't necessarily a superhero movie, even though it was a comic book based one. To me, The Crow was a love story. It was a love story. It like the way kind of Deadpool was a love story.
And the way Khal Drogo and that blonde chick on Game of Thrones, how it's a love story. Maybe they're seeing some common threads there.
Yeah, but nothing against him. I would love to see a Crow movie be made, but there's just like the Crow, just like other characters. There's other manifestations of the Crow. There's been other books with different version Crows. Like if obviously you've seen the Crow movies, it's not always been the Eric Draven character all throughout the book series. There's been different stories, different versions.
Say this is based on the comic and not on the not as a reboot of the original movie. So they may do some more interesting things with it if they're going in that direction.
Yeah, be a Crow, but do a different one. Honestly, I've been wanting to see a black African American character. There was this one called a Crow called Lazarus. His storyline was very awesome. I like to see. There's other characters where they've done crossovers with Razor. Another, I think, might have been from Vertigo Comics or so. She was really cool, but it was like a crossover love story between them. But the thing is with the Crow stories, it was all about love, loss, and just establishing the balance in the world. So nothing against him if they can make an awesome island version, not to stereotype him for Samoan heritage and whatnot, but I would love to see a Polynesian storyline, even if it takes place literally in Hawaii or on an island or something like that, and just somehow connect, because every I want to say not every religion, but almost every background, everybody has a kind of redemption, coming back from death to set things right kind of storyline, no matter depending on what religion or so. Hey, it worked for the Christians with Jesus, why not with Polynesians?
Absolutely. So lots of great storylines that are possible with The Crow. I think they were able to finally get a remake done because He's becoming famous. They probably pitched it as like a superhero comic book movie, which is really popular right now. So they probably got the funding finally. But it's been a long time, and I'm happy to see any kind of Crow movie personally in the theaters again. But moving on to the next story in our series, we have The Verge, the Rogue One trailer. If you haven't seen this, folks, I don't know why you're watching this. You should pause it and you should go watch the new Star Wars Rogue One trailer that came out. I've seen it a couple times already, and I was super excited. I squealed out loud when I first saw it on the internets. The Verge did a wonderful breakdown of the trailer. The trailer opens with a shot from what appears to be Jeddah, the so-called Holy Land for those who follow the Force. Then it quickly breaks down into Forrest Whitaker's Garrus saying the world is coming undone, and his character is actually someone that comes from Star Wars: The Clone Wars and the Clone Wars animated series, and he's here. So I said the continuity is kind of picking up everywhere. To me personally, you get to see Felicity Jones running around. She's rumored to be connected to some of the scientists developing the Death Star, which is why they bring her out of her jail, wherever she happens to be, to put her into the new U-wing, which is highly featured in the trailer. And then you see Donnie Yu's character. I'm not going to try to say his name. It's Donnie Yu. He's kicking butt, taking names on this planet, and he's blind, so he's like the blind Asian Jedi, not Jedi, swordsman kind of dude. But he doesn't have the Force.
Yeah, that was awesome. I just saw him just swinging around. I was wondering about, did they forget to add the glow?
No, he's a follower of the Force as a religion, apparently, but he's not a Force sensitive. Well, he might be Force sensitive, but he doesn't use Jedi powers and a lightsaber the way regular people do. Apparently, a lot of the story revolves around that holy planet where they prepare Jedi materials for lightsabers and stuff, and so the Empire has been keeping an eye on them, even though they themselves don't have any Force powers. And of course, there's a huge battle in the movie on the planet Scarif, which is a secluded world where they're picking up materials for the Death Star, apparently. And at the very end, we get our wonderful cameo from, Darth Vader. So this was an amazing trailer. I thought it was good. Again, go check it out, folks, on the internets.
Oh god, it's looked so good, especially the last part. Yeah, you just see the outline, and everybody's like, "Ooh!" You didn't even have to turn around. You didn't even hear the breath. You just saw this. Like it could have just been a shadow, but you did see the glow off of the helmet, and it just got everybody excited. But yeah, once again, I saw the guy with the sword. I thought like, "Hey man, did they forget to add the glow to the sword?" I'm like, he looked awesome. He was busting out crazy moves and all that. So I was like, "All right." It's missing the glow. What's up with that? But anyway, the whole, to me, that was kind of seemed a little trippy. It was almost like especially the teaser posters, if you will. It was a very tropical islandy kind of thing. It almost seemed like, come to blah 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 for the for the Mai Tais and the coconut drinks and all this other stuff, and stay for the, I guess, rebellion battle or something like that.
Yeah, it's a very spacey, kind of Bahama looking island battle. So they're trying to go for new places instead of forest and snow. Now we're going to the tropics. So it's hey, why not? Get some new planets.
Yeah, we did see the Y-wing in action though, because we did from the last podcast show the picture of it, and like, oh, this might be possibly in it. So
and also the U-wing.
The U-wing, there you go. Excuse me. Yeah, the U-wing. And it's kind of like the way we just kind of described it. Weird mashup of like a X-wing with little booster things on the sides on it, spread out, wide out. It's a little combo, but it is kind of, once again, the kind of like in between it. So it's gonna be great. It makes me think of like what was wrong that they had to do reshoots. I hope
it's just better stuff, hopefully. And of course, if you missed the trailer, it's going to be in our show notes for the podcast, folks. So I encourage you to go check it out. We are going to move on to our discussion section, though. But of course, if you want to support us before we head there,
if you like if you like the podcast and want to help support us, you can find out all the ways to do so at geekbytespodcast.com/support. Because we need money, like everyone else in the world.
And it's in our discussion section, folks, we talk about anything that we're interested in that doesn't quite fit into the regular news section. And this week, we're going to be talking about our interview with Stephan Morse. I always say it wrong. Sorry, Stephan. Author of the Continue Online series. It was really fun to talk to the guy. He was nice. He had a kid, wife who helps him out so I felt very familiar. And
Were
he's
they
a
all
writer.
in the shop while you were interviewing?
No, we talked a little bit earlier before the recording, so it was kind of fun to see, the behind the scenes stuff of a successful writer. His story is a lit RPG, which means it's set in a game world. There's a sense of progression, like mechanics, like levels and skill trees and everything. So it's fun for me. But the thing that kind of stands out and makes the story different is the fact that it turns a little bit psychological, in that it talks about depression, how virtual reality can be used in the future almost therapeutically or to kind of shape the minds of people. There's a lot of interesting things that go on in the story. I encourage you to go check out his stuff on Amazon. His latest book, the fourth book in the series, came out this month. And we actually did a second interview with another author, which we'll talk about at the end of this one. But for now, go watch the interview. We're going to play you a brief little clip, and you can watch, of course, the full interview with Stephan on our website at geekbytespodcast.com. Hey everyone, I'm Ramon Mejia from Geek Bytes podcast. Now in today's author interview, I have the pleasure of interviewing Stephan Morse, author of the Continue Online series. His series is actually one of the most fascinating in the lit RPG genre that I've ever read. His stories, not only do they have the great traditional lit RPG stuff, but they also have a lot of sci-fi content that really makes you think. He has love, psychology, action, adventure, and some really quirky artificial intelligences. So I'm happy to welcome you, Stephan. Welcome to the author interview.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on your site and podcast. I'm looking forward to how this goes.
Yeah, it'll be a first for us to talk to each other. I know you don't do a lot of press, so I'm happy to see that you're willing to talk to your fans and people like me who just enjoy your work.
I definitely. I've always responded to any interactions I get on my website, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later. But it's my favorite thing to do so far, next to writing itself. So
definitely nice to get some feedback from the fans and kind of communicate with your community. I get that.
Definitely.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself for people who don't know who you are or your works? A little bit about yourself and your background?
I can give you the basics. I'm 32 years old. I consider myself a child of the west coast of the United States. I've lived pretty much everywhere and slowly ended up in the Seattle-ish area. I don't want to give away too much. But I definitely like it up here. There's less sunshine except for today. Nature doesn't like me. And it's always a hard question to answer to tell about yourself, I can write character backgrounds, but not me. Don't look at me.
I hear it kind of almost feels like you're trying to figure something out for a dating website. Like, oh, I like long walks on the beach, playing basketball, and just wanted to find the one person I love.
Yeah, God help me if I ever had to do that. It would just end up being me slamming the keyboard and gibberish coming out. But yeah, definitely, I attribute most of my location where I am to all the moving that I've done. I ended up in something like 13 different schools growing up before I landed in junior high, and books, constant companion. So kind of only became natural that you read 7,000 books and you want to try writing one. So
yeah, absolutely. You and I are just about the same age. I think I'm about a year older than you. At the time when we grew up, the internet wasn't really a thing quite yet. Like, it was around, but it was really hard to get into. Like, you were typing special commands on your computer, so it wasn't quite as ubiquitous as it is nowadays. So finding online friends in chat rooms was a little bit harder. So sometimes those book characters were closer friends than other people.
Definitely. I used to run off with books and go hide in the yard with two dogs and just read while laying on one of them. That's how I pass time, because my internet at the time, dial-up, is a terribly, terribly sad thing.
Yes, I still wake up from dreams of that dial-up sound, just and it's a traumatic experience. Especially if you have some modern kids, some little youngster who tries to use a dial-up modem, they'll go crazy and they'll start throwing things at the computer.
Yeah, my son does that with his iPad, and every time it starts slowing down and he's mad at it, I just laugh madly, like, you understand nothing, child. You don't get the struggle.
We had to deal with kilobytes. None of these megabytes. Kilobytes, my friend.
Right. I still tell people the excited days when you switch from 1 meg to 2 megs and you got to flip out the little cards. Yeah, and Palm. Sorry.
Okay. That's a little bit about you. Are you a professional writer? Is this all that you do currently?
No, my main job is nothing to do with writing. I'm actually a a number cruncher for the government. I won't share what because it's a conversation stopper, and people stare at me like, I don't know if I could be friends with you anymore. My dad disowned me. No, just kidding.
You just see like the glaze go over their eyes, and their mind starts to wander.
Yeah, but I work a lot with databases for my main job, so needless to say, there's plenty of time for the imagination that you would not get in any other job. So it's helped.
Well, that makes sense. Kind of makes sense. Reading your work, I'm like, there seems like there was a lot of background information that I'm not getting, but it makes sense throughout, like 1, 2, 3. Your book. It's very consistent, and it kind of makes sense if you're used to working with databases and numbers and everything kind of working together. So, good job.
Yeah, I have like 6 spreadsheets of information that just doesn't matter. It's the main character. And I use it to keep my notes on point, but it just never shows up.
Yeah, they're like names and formulas and equations that you use to calculate things, and I hear you.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about your actual run? You have 2 series, I believe, Continue Online and Royal Scales. Can you give us a little bit of summary of both of them for people who've never read it?
Continue Online is the main work that I'm sure we'll be talking about a lot today. So I'll be quick on that one. It's a lit RPG, which is a tag that I didn't know existed when I started writing it. So it's virtual reality, near future science fiction, artificial intelligences, and the main character who's got a love lost and tragic past, and he goes through his depression spiral. And we pick up this series with him trying to come out of that with the help of those around him. So that's Continue Online is dealing with what I consider an actually scarily realistic scenario that could happen for all its logic flaws. So I tried to get those near future things, and I had a lot of fun with it. Royal Scales is an urban fantasy, so you have elves, you have shape-shifting wolves, you have vampires, and then you have everything else that survived. So I have modern society all integrated with these species, and then the main character who doesn't fit, of course. That's been fun. And then I have 3 other little series that are started on my website, which I'm sure we'll talk about. So I have one called Fragments of Aeon that I'm starting, which is like a martial arts Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon meets Cthulhu horror. Yeah, it fits perfectly, and you can, if you're a big fan of the online work and reading stuff for free, you've probably seen the genre before for cultivation and gods and all that.
Oh yeah.
It's my take on it. And then I have a superhero fiction and the follow-up to Continue Online, which I'm working on, called First Regards. So it's going to link between this series and the next one, which is further out in the future, one of these years. I have lots of projects.
Yeah. You seem like you write in a lot of different genres. I'm just starting my own personal lit RPG story, and I'm finding it interesting and difficult and challenging all at the same time. But you're writing like was that 3 or 4 different genres I counted?
I think it's 4 technically, because Regards is the same as Continue Online. It's all virtual reality science fiction. Okay. Sort of. And I read all these genres, and I want to give something back. I want to have a unique twist. I want to tell my own story in these settings that I love so much. So that's cool.
So you've actually read lit RPG stories before?
Oh yeah, pretty much everything that's on your list I've been through. I went through about 1/3 of them before I even found the list, and then I started clicking on other stuff. So this month I think I've been through like 18 books in the genre. Plus,
there's a ton of good stuff out there. It's kind of the reason I put a recommendation list, because I was finding so much, but I couldn't find more. So it was like I was just researching on my own. And I thought, well, if I'm having this problem, I know somebody else is having an issue, because these stories are super addictive. They're like, it's like video game story crack, for a lot of people. So, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to be your supplier then. I'll get you the good stuff, folks.
Definitely. I've spent many hours reading other people's works, and some are fantastic, some are in need of polishing. But it's been a blast to just see what people do with this whole concept of living in a video game or a video game world or being transported or whatever. And it follows up with a genre that I've loved since I was like 13, where I only found one book. I think I mentioned it on your site, called Kilobyte. I'm like, this is great. And then it took another 15 years for more of them to finally make it to the US. So it's been a blast to see it become more public.
And I think in part the resurgence of the genre is tied heavily to the resurgence of virtual reality, because the same things were happening when Kilobyte was originally written. Virtual reality was kind of hyped up. It never really fulfilled its promises back then, but with the advent of Oculus Rift, of HTC Vive, and all those great actual consumer products that are coming out, this that same kind of spark in your mind of like, this is something I can see visually. It almost feels like I exist here. So just, just pushing your mind, a couple years ahead in technology, or 10, 20, whatever it is, it seems very realistic that these type of stories may indeed become reality in the future. I think that's very inspirational for a lot of writers, and, including myself, and in understanding, the game mechanics in a virtual world, and being a part of it, and incorporating them in your life. It's, I think the two are really connected.
Definitely. To a frightening extent. I worry where we'll be in another 20 years if we're all just plugged into pods and stuff. Like, I think Phantom Server talks about it in one of their stories. Like, everybody's just rows and rows of people in pods. That's where everyone went. And part of me is like, well, hopefully whoever designs it will have brains to help us all out with that kind of stuff and addiction. But it's
Yeah.
part of the themes that I talk about in Continue Online. So
Yeah, I definitely look forward to the day when I have an Arc machine in my spare room and I can just hop in and go play somewhere. It's exciting to me. I understand how a lot of people are worried about the potential eventualities of artificial intelligence, virtual worlds, of singularity, all the kind of fun, interesting stuff. And you actually deal with a lot of that in your stories. But for me, it's exciting. I'm less worried about some of the negative consequences as I am about just the possibility.
Oh.
Hey, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that wonderful clip of our interview with Stephan Morse. This week, we also interviewed the Russian author of a lit RPG series called Mirror World as well. We encourage you to go watch it at geekbytespodcast.com. The name of the author is Alexei Osadchuk. It was actually kind of interesting to talk to the guy because he doesn't know English. He speaks Russian. He speaks Spanish because he lives in Spain currently. And so we had a translator come in. They got the gentleman from the publishing company who's translating his books in English.
Oh, you didn't have the Google thing?
No, it was a real life person, and so it was kind of interesting to talk and then have someone translate it, him answer, translate back. It was very much like a game of telephone, but it was it was fun. Everybody had a really good time, and for me, it was interesting because it was someone that was outside of the realm of the American lit RPG community,
Yeah.
and so it was somebody a lot of people consider kind of famous because it was like the Russian stories that are translated in English that got a lot of people started in like this wonderful new genre called lit RPG. They combine, RPG mechanics and stories with video games and really great adventure stories, and kind of help a lot of people kind of do their own stories in the same genre, including myself. Hopefully, at one point, I'm writing one now. Hopefully, at some point, it'll be finished, and we could put it out on Amazon as well. But in the meantime, folks, I definitely appreciate you guys, taking the time to listen to us again for all these great interviews, all the little RPG stuff, and for, of course, the podcast. Always go to geekbytespodcast.com. You can find all of our stuff, including all the ways you can support us and all the ways we can show our appreciation to you. We kind of make this show for you guys, and of course, us as well. So we thank you guys for listening and watching. For Geek Bytes Podcast, I am Ramon Mejia.
Edgar Acosta.
Now remember, folks, go geek out about something.